DJ Payne 1.
Hello, what's going on, guys? Welcome to the CEO Sports Show for September 24th, 2025. And on today's episode, we are going to be talking about Drew Brees' comments about the Eagles offense. And we're also going to be talking about who I think the Heisman frontrunner should be. And I also want to talk about a take that I have about the quarterbacks in the NFL and where I think, some things should be going in terms of rankings, in terms of quarterbacks. But before we get into the episode, please make sure to hit that like button, subscribe. Also, go make sure to check out the other shows on the network. I would greatly appreciate that. And without further ado, let's get into the episode. Okay, so Drew Brees called the Eagles offense boring on First Take. Let's read this write-up from Brian Diardo from Diardo. I'm sorry. If I got your name wrong, I apologize for that. That's a gigantic pet peeve of mine. Despite the Eagles, this is on CBS Sports, by the way. Despite the Eagles' 3-0 start, Drew Brees doesn't like what he's seen from Philadelphia's offense. Brees, a future Hall of Fame quarterback, took Philadelphia's offense to task Tuesday while not mentioning Jalen Hurts among the quarterbacks that have played the best through the regular season's first 3 weeks. Brees did mention Green Bay's Jordan Love, Dallas's Dak Prescott, and Buffalo's Josh Allen. Hey, I respect Philly, Brees said on First Take. I respect Philly. They are winning games. They are finding ways to win games. I can't stand to watch that offense. It's the most boring offense in football. While it might be boring, the Eagles offense is nonetheless 8th in the NFL in points scored through 3 weeks. They're currently number 1 in red zone efficiency and 8th on third down. Okay, I don't want to read I'm sorry. You want to know what? We can actually get into that. A big reason for Philadelphia's success in the red zone and on possession downs is their tush-push play that is virtually unstoppable. But while the play is highly successful, it's also highly controversial. And surely one of the main reasons why Brees isn't a fan of Philadelphia's offense. Big plays have been one of the biggest things the Eagles' offense has lacked through 3 weeks. But while they haven't been able to stretch the field, the Eagles have made up for that by playing efficient ball while not beating themselves. Hurts, for example, is completing 71.4% of his passes and has yet to throw an interception. He has 7 total touchdowns this season. That includes a league-high 4 on the ground. While he may not like it, Brees did acknowledge that the Eagles' offense is capable of helping Philadelphia defend its Super Bowl title. Absolutely, he said. That's the toughest division in football. Let's see how it plays out. Okay, so Drew Brees called the Philadelphia Eagles offense boring on First Take. I have a question for people. Is water wet? Do you guys watch the Eagles offense? That is one of the most boring offenses in football. Drew Brees was not lying when he said that. And I'm going to be honest with you. The main person that I look at and I say is the reason for this is Nick Sirianni, right? People are going to say, oh, Kevin Patullo. Yeah, keep blaming offensive coordinators and not look at the offensive-minded head coach who isn't calling plays. This is a Nick Sirianni thing. The lack of consistency with the Eagles' offensive play calling is because of Nick Sirianni. He can't call plays, and because he can't call plays, he has to bring people in to call plays for him. Here's the thing. Yes, the Eagles were able to find Kellen Moore, who is a solid play caller last year. Not every offseason are there going to be offensive coordinators that are worth a damn that are available. So the whole notion that you can't hire from within, a lot of times that's what you have to do, because you're either hiring from within or you're hiring somebody that has either proven that they're not that good of as an offensive coordinator, or you're hiring from somebody else's coaching tree. Like, yeah, you're going to hire from within because you know these guys. But again, this is a Nick Sirianni problem. And if you ask Howie Roseman, what was the intentions for Nick Sirianni when he came in to be the head coach? It's that he wanted consistency between the quarterback and the head coach. And right now, the Eagles don't have that consistency over a stretch of time because their head coach cannot call plays. That's the reality of the situation. Don't get mad at me for pointing out the reality. Get mad at the people who deserve to be blamed for it. Like, I don't think Nick Sirianni is this coach that you just can't move on from. Philadelphia won a Super Bowl with Doug Peterson. Doug Peterson had a backup quarterback that he won a Super Bowl with. And they fired him, 2 years after they won a Super Bowl? I mean, I get it. The Eagles are winning right now. So the notion of moving on from Nick Sirianni isn't something that I think that they should be discussing. I get that. But if in a year or two from now, they keep having these offensive problems and it starts to look a certain type of way, if I'm the Eagles, I'm like, hey, look, we'll give you a promotion to a front office job. We'll do something to make it worth your time, like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers did with Bruce Arians, right? Because you're not going to get the consistency that you want from Jalen Hurts. I keep hearing this all the time. Oh, well, Jalen Hurts is on his 10th, 11th play caller in a row. Yet nobody talks about Nick Sirianni being a big part of the reason for that. He is the reason why there is no consistency. He is the reason why they keep having to go through offensive coordinators, because he is not doing what he was brought there to do, which was be the offensive play caller. So I know Eagles media members, I know Eagles fans don't want to say that because Nick Sirianni won a Super Bowl. We should look past everything that he's ever done. But I'm going to be honest with you. All right, let's be honest about Nick Sirianni. Are you really trying to tell me that there isn't 20 to 30 coaches that could win with the roster that they have? Because I believe that there's about 20 to 30 coaches. And that's not even just head coaches. That's meaning offensive coordinators or defensive coordinators that you could find that could be head coaches. There's plenty of head coaches out there that you could find. But the Eagles, and there was a comment, somebody said that I never give the Eagles any credit. It's just a flat out lie. I always refer to them when I talk about good team building. But the Eagles, they're a player-led leadership structure. That's their deal. Their deal is that they have really strong leaders in that locker room and they set the culture, not the head coach. You think Nick Sirianni is the one driving the culture in Philadelphia? I don't believe that at all. And to give Jalen Hurts credit, he's the driving force of that culture. Lane Johnson is a driving force of that culture. Jordan Mailata, driving force of that culture. Landon Dickerson, driving force of that culture. And they're going to have some guys here on defense like Reed Blankenship, Saquon, even though Saquon plays on offense, but I forgot to mention him. Cooper DeJean. These guys are strong leaders. They can have a player-led leadership structure. And I know I'm not calling for Nick Sirianni's job. I'm really not. But what I'm saying is, in the next few years, if they keep having these problems offensively and they're not getting to where they need to be, you need to have the conversation of, why is this guy our head coach? Why do we hire him? He's an offensive-minded guy who doesn't call plays, and our quarterback is not benefiting from that at all. And when these contracts start to catch up with the Eagles and they have to start paying the piper and they have to start dealing with less talented rosters, they're not going to be able to hide behind the fact that Howie Roseman is able to build one of the greatest teams that the league has ever seen. He's not going to be, Nick Sirianni is not going to be able to hide behind the fact that Howie Roseman can bring in free agents at the clip that he's able to bring in free agents. Because these contracts are going to catch up with them. They're going to have to pay Jalen Carter. They're going to have to pay Quinyon Mitchell. They're going to have to pay Cooper DeJean. They're going to have to pay a lot of guys on this team. It's going to catch up with them. They're going to have to deal with the fact that they're probably going to have to be a top-heavy roster for a good part of the next 5 years. That's just what it is. So, again, I don't want people thinking that I'm calling for Nick Sirianni's job. That would be completely and utterly reckless for me to do. But I'm just saying the reason why there hasn't been consistency with the play calling is because of the head coach. And I don't know why nobody talks about it. Nobody talks about it. And I don't think Nick Sirianni's a bad head coach. I think there's some things that he does well, but I'm just saying, let's be honest here. Okay, let's move on to the next topic. So, John Mater, I believe, if I read this correctly, is going to be missing some time throughout the course of the season. I'm going to read this right up from Cameron Salerno. John Mater injury. Oklahoma star quarterback and Heisman contender can miss up to a month after hand surgery. Oklahoma star quarterback John Mater will undergo hand surgery to adjust a right hand injury he sustained in his team's win over Auburn last weekend, the school announced on Tuesday. Oklahoma coach Brent Venables said in the release that Mater is expected to return at some point this season. Quote, after consulting with medical experts, it became clear that surgery is the best option for John in his short and long-term future, Venables said. He's extremely disappointed he will miss some game action, but is eager to correct the issue and move forward. As he is with everything, we know he will be aggressive with his rehabilitation and work to return to the field as quickly as possible. So that begs the question. John Mater was the Heisman favorite at the moment, right? I would say if the season ended right now, John Mater would win the Heisman. But obviously, he's going to miss time. There's going to be a lot of opportunities that he's going to miss to strengthen his Heisman resume. So my question is this. Who should be the Heisman? I know who the answer to this question is. It should be Reuben Bain Jr. Reuben Bain Jr. right now is the Heisman. He deserves to win Heisman at the current moment. Miami's defense is incredible. Their defensive line is one of the best we've seen in the past few years here in college football, and he is the driving element of that. He is taking over games and wrecking football games. He's not just wrecking the game as a pass rusher. He's doing it all. High motor, incredible against the run. This guy is as well-rounded as a defensive defensive end that you're going to see. This guy is winning games for Miami. And I think going forward, that's going to continue to be the case. I think that what we saw on Saturday from him is just the beginning. He should be the guy that wins Heisman if he continues on this trajectory. Right now, he's the best player in the country. I don't think any of these quarterbacks have made a great case. Maybe you could say Garrett Nussmeier, but I don't think Garrett Nussmeier has played all that well. He's played fine, but he hasn't played that well. Maybe Dante Moore makes a strong case on Saturday here against Penn State, but I don't think anybody at the current moment has a stronger case than Reuben Bain Jr. And that's why I think if the season ended right now, obviously I would give the Heisman to John Mater, but give it a few weeks, and I may be saying if the season ended right now, Reuben Bain would be the Heisman because this young man is incredible. Coached by Jason Taylor, Miami's defensive line, it's off the charts, and they have a real chance to win the national championship. And he is a big part of the reason why they could potentially win a national championship this upcoming year because of what that defensive line is doing and the impact that they're making on the game. And when you look at the other Heisman candidates, let me pull up the favorites for Heisman at the current moment. I know this is bad radio. I'm sorry about that. So you have John Mateer right now is the odds-on favorite. Then you have Fernando Mendoza. Then you have Fernando Mendoza, the Indiana quarterback. Dante Moore, the Oregon quarterback. Carson Beck, the Miami quarterback. And like, it is so crazy to me that Ruben Bain Jr. isn't even, is this just like, are they just saying the top? Like, that's insane to me. That is flat out insane. He's not even close to being anywhere near the Heisman favorite. That is wild to me. None of these quarterbacks are playing all that well. Like, yeah, John Mateer, he's showing something. Like he, to me, is the quarterback in the country right now that is separating himself from the pack. Dante Moore has a chance to separate himself from the pack on Saturday if he goes in there and plays well against Penn State. You know, Garrett Nussmeier, he still has some opportunities to make something happen and put together a Heisman case. But I, at the end of the day, don't believe that any of those players are impacting winning to the extent that Ruben Bain has impacted winning for the Miami Hurricanes at the current moment. The fact that this defense can play as well as they do because of the fact that he is garnering so much attention from opposing offenses, and the fact that the other players on his defensive line are playing much better because of his presence, I don't believe that any other player in the country, maybe you could say Fernando Mendoza, he's been putting together some really good things, but I just can't get over how good Ruben Bain Jr. has been. He made two of the best offensive lines in the country look bad, and that was Notre Dame and Florida. Those are two teams that PFF ranked very high when it came to offensive line rankings. And if you watched Ruben Bain Jr., you wouldn't even know that that was the case, that those teams have two of the best offensive lines in the entire country. That's how good he is. That's how impactful he is. And that's why I believe he deserves the Heisman Trophy. If, you know, John Mateer is going to be out for a significant amount of time, if he misses 3 or 4 games, no doubt in my mind, Ruben Bain needs to be a guy that is talked about. He, to me, would be number 2 on my Heisman rankings. But, of course, it's not a award that goes to anything other than quarterbacks, which is upsetting. I mean, granted, yeah, Travis Hunter won it last year, but Travis Hunter also had to play 2 positions, one on offense and one on defense, for him to win that award. So it's a shame that it doesn't go to more defensive players. And to me, Ruben Bain is making such an impact that the case needs to be made that this guy could potentially be the Heisman. So I want to move on to another topic here. I want to move on to the just a quarterback conversation here. I believe that Dak Prescott has surpassed Matthew Stafford in quarterback rankings just as a quarterback as a whole. Like right now, obviously Matthew Stafford can still whip it. He can still make a lot of the throws that Matthew Stafford can make. But the problem is when Matthew Stafford is dealing with pressure, his ability to create out of structure isn't what it has been. It isn't what it is for Dak Prescott. And I don't think there's a gap at all when it comes to their ability to stay in the pocket and deliver the football. Both of those gentlemen do a fantastic job doing that. But Dak Prescott, when the play breaks down, he just has more juice than Matthew Stafford. And I think as a pocket passer, like I said, there's not a gap. It's dead even. You can go one way, you can go the other way, but it's not some big gap. So I believe that Dak Prescott at the current moment is better than Matthew Stafford. And the reason why is because the gap as pocket passers, it's not that big. Dak Prescott is better at dealing with pressure. I think that the arm strength now is comparable because Matthew Stafford is starting to get up there with age. And Dak Prescott, he looks like a completely different quarterback. Like, obviously, he's always been a very good quarterback, but it looks like he has taken another leap in his progression and his development. And I think part of that is him using his arm to make things happen, like you see from a guy like Justin Herbert or a guy like Matthew Stafford. His arm talent looks better than it's ever had in his entire career, which is the reason why I say, yeah, I'm ready to put Dak Prescott over Matthew Stafford, because I think where the reason why people think Matthew Stafford is the fifth best quarterback in football is because of what Matthew Stafford has done in the past and not what he's doing right now. Yes, Matthew Stafford is doing some really good things right now. But again, I just look at that and I say he's not as good as he has been. I know PFF is grading him very highly, and I understand why, but I just see a guy who can just strictly stay in the pocket. And that's really all you're going to get from Matthew Stafford. But when the play breaks down, like it's eventually going to, can Matthew Stafford give you anything when that happens? Yeah, he's able to navigate in a pocket, and he's able to make things happen that way. But in terms of escaping the pocket, throwing the ball on the run, yeah, Matthew Stafford can do that. But can he get to the point where he can do that? Can he use his legs to get to a spot to deliver the ball on the run? I don't think he can do that nearly as well as a guy like Dak Prescott has. And I think Dak Prescott's evolution as a pocket passer and what he does pre-snap, I don't think Dak Prescott gets enough credit for what he does pre-snap. Pre-snap, he is one of the most cerebral quarterbacks, if not the most cerebral quarterback in the league. The way he's able to get defenses in certain looks, call out certain defenses, obviously now with Brian Schottenheimer using the shifts and the motions, he's really good with identifying man, zone coverage. Again, might sound like small things, but when you add all the small things up that you ask a quarterback to do pre-snap, Dak Prescott is doing that at a very high level. And this isn't any slight towards Matthew Stafford. Matthew Stafford is still a very good quarterback. But to say that he's the same Matthew Stafford that he's been over the past few years, I don't think is accurate. And not only that, what we've seen from Matt Stafford the past 2 years, he's been very good he's been like a game manager plus, if I should say. There are games where he really steps it up and carries his offense. But I think what Matthew Stafford is doing a very good job of right now is getting the ball where it needs to go. And when they ask him to do more, he does it. But he's not doing it to the extent that we see from Dak Prescott, where literally right now the Cowboys are saying, yeah, Dak, we're going to need you to get it done every single game. And yeah, I get it. They're 1-2, but I would also say this. I think he's played 3 very good games. I think he was excellent against Philly and New York. And against Chicago, he was really good. It's kind of just a shame that their defense is as bad as it is, because I don't think here's the thing. And this is what I don't understand. People will sit there and use Dak Prescott's playoff performances and his playoff resume against him. My question is this: why don't we do that for other quarterbacks? Why don't we do that for Justin Herbert? Why don't we do that for Lamar Jackson? Why is Lamar Jackson in the top 3 if he has the playoff performances that he's had? And what I mean by that is this, right? We can look at Lamar Jackson struggle in the playoffs. Me personally, I have him as my second best quarterback in the NFL. I have Justin Herbert as the 5th best quarterback in the NFL. I have Dak as the 6th best quarterback in the NFL. But somebody will look at my rankings and say, oh, you have Dak at number 6. He needs to be 15th because of his playoff performances. But they're not going to move Lamar Jackson from that top 3. They're not going to move Justin Herbert out of that top 10. They'll move Dak Prescott to 15 because of his playoff performances. No. If we're going to do playoff performances, make sure that you're holding Justin Herbert and Lamar Jackson the same standard. Not only that, a lot of these quarterbacks that you like aren't even getting to the playoffs in the first place. So what are we even talking about? So that's where I come to the conclusion, all right, look, we need to make sure that we're accurately assessing what's going on here in the NFL, because it's just, I think there's a lot of disgusting narratives that are being played out with NFL discourse. I want to take a quick look at week 4 here before. Well, I kind of want to look at the college football schedule. So we have. I'm trying to look for so we have Washington, Ohio State. Ohio State's going to win that game. They're in a very interesting situation, Ohio State, because I feel like they're the number 1 team in the country, and I feel like people are sleeping on them, which is kind of dangerous, right? Like, they still have a lot of pieces on that team, Ohio State, from that championship team. Like, you can make a case that the 2 best players that were on that team are still on the team. Like, Jeremiah Smith was the best player on that team last year. Caleb Downs was arguably you could say Caleb Downs is the best player. You could say Jeremiah Smith. But you could say that those 2 guys were the best players on that team, and Ohio State still has them on that team. Julian Sayin, he was a highly rated quarterback. He was a very high recruit. 779 yards, 8 touchdowns, 3 interceptions so far on the year. You're looking at a weather of 66 degrees. I'm looking at that right here. That's pretty cool that ESPN has that. LSU, Ole Miss, Garrett Nussmeier. I need to see a little more from him. Ever since that Clemson game, I've kind of been a little unimpressed with Garrett Nussmeier, but he has a case here. They're playing in Mississippi, Ole Miss, LSU. Garrett Nussmeier has a real chance here to solidify, or not solidify, but strengthen his Heisman case if he's able to go in there and play at a high level. You got Texas A&M and Auburn. That's going to be a fun game. Texas A&M is playing very well so far this season. Marcel Reed's playing at a high level. I really like Marcel Reed. Craver, the tight end, Mario Craver, I believe his name is. Concepcion is playing very well. So they got some things to look forward to there if you're Texas A&M. Indiana, who's somehow the 11th ranked team in the country. I don't understand that, playing Iowa. That's going to be an interesting game, but I think Indiana is probably going to blow the roof off of Iowa. And then you have Oregon, Penn State. This is a hard game to predict because I don't know that much about both of these teams. Like, Oregon is in a situation where they scheduled good teams, but the problem for Oregon is that the teams that they played just haven't lived up to expectation. Like, these are quality, high major opponents that they're playing, and Penn State's played absolutely nobody. So I don't even know what to predict for that game. I would stay away from this game. I would treat this game like a week 1 game. If I'm going to take a team, I'd take Penn State because they're at home, but I don't feel great about that. I mean, Penn State struggles in these spots. They struggle against these highly ranked teams. So we'll see what happens there. Alabama versus Georgia. That's going to be an interesting game. Both of these teams have played quality opponents. Alabama's kind of righted the ship ever since that week 1 loss to Florida State. That actually looks like that might have just been them playing a really good football team compared to them not being good. So they're going to have a chance here in Athens, Georgia, to come away with a big win here. So can they do it? I don't know. Georgia, to me, is a sneaky team. Georgia might be the best team in the country, if we're being 100% honest. Like, they might be. I'm not saying they are, but I'm just saying they could be. And I don't think enough people are talking about it, which is very dangerous because that's the type of program that you need to be paying attention to. So that's going to be it for the CEO Sports Show. Please make sure to check out the other pages. Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe. I would greatly appreciate that. And until next time, I will see you guys later. Peace.